are talking about UGC June 2014 paper for geography. We would be discussing paper 3 in today's session. So we would be discussing the second set, the part 2 of the series. So the next 15 questions in line. So we'll start with the first question. The first question here is, some heat is received by the atmosphere even after sunset from the sun. So till the sunset, all the heat received is known as the insolation or the incoming solar radiation. And after sunset, what happens is the Earth's surface absorbs some of the heat, and that heat is later on reflected in the form of terrestrial radiation. So the heat received by the atmosphere even after sunset, the correct answer is terrestrial radiation. The next question is a question on assertion reason. So there are two statements and assertion reason for the same. So the first assertion is, the growth of grasses and other vegetation is limited to salvas. The separate crown of trees coalesce and form thick canopy above the forest floor. So it's basically, what is salvas? Salvas are the rainforests of Amazon in South America. And what happens there is, because of heavy rainfall and dense vegetation, there are huge trees which grow, and these trees, they grow to such a big extent that they form a cover over the lower growth. And because of this high tree growth, what happens is the grasses which are growing on the lower at a lower height usually gets limited. So because of the thick cover or the canopy we call it on the top, the lower grasses gets limited. So this is what is about the growth of grasses and other vegetative covers getting limited to salvas, and the major reason is attributed because of the trees which form a thick canopy. So assertion is correct, reason is correct, and reason is the correct explanation for assertion. The next question is a very direct question based on environmental issues. So environmental issues in this year's paper was a big focus. Montreal Protocol is related to, the correct answer is ozone depletion. Montreal Protocol deals with all those substances that led to ozone depletion, and it's an international agreement which is designed to protect the ozone layer of the earth. The next question is again a direct question on Kyoto Protocol. The question states, the question on Kyoto Protocol, the objectives of Kyoto Protocol is to reduce greenhouse gas emission. So reducing the emission of greenhouse gas is what is important as. Under this protocol, there were 37 countries which committed themselves to reduce of GHG, that is the greenhouse gases. The major greenhouse gases in this were carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur hexafluoride, sorry. Then you have methane and nitrous oxide. These were some of the major gases besides the CFCs and hydrofluorocarbons were the other gases. Now the Annex 1 of this Kyoto Protocol, what it aims is reduction in the greenhouse gas emission by 5.2% from 1990 to 2012. So that's the basic aim of the Kyoto Protocol. The next question is again a direct question. What are xerophytes? Xerophytes are drought tolerant species, and they can tolerate or withstand the drought conditions. Because of this, they are also known as drought tolerant species, and what happens in the season of drought, they become dormant. So most of the vegetation is in form of cactus and other elements. The next question is, which of the following statements regarding ozone is correct? Again a question from environment. So ozone is mainly found in the stratosphere is a correct sentence. It helps to absorb the harmful ultraviolet radiations that come from the earth. It's again correct. So 1 and 3 is the correct answer. Now, ozone layer has significance for life on earth. This is no, should not be there. So it has significance because it protects the harmful UV rays from coming on the earth, and it protects people from skin cancers and skin diseases. The region in which ozone is formed is usually 15 to 30 kilometers above the normal level of the earth. The next question is a question on assertion reason and oceanography. In this question, it says that ocean salinity is low in equatorial region, which is a correct statement. And the reason is it's due to heavy rainfall, cloudiness, and humidity. What happens because of heavy rainfall is the water keeps on mixing, and due to mixing of water, what happens? The salinity decreases, and this decrease in salinity is found in the equatorial region. So assertion is correct, reason is correct, and it's the correct explanation for the same. The next question is, who gave this statement? Now, this statement is something based on rote learning, but it's important because it has uniqueness. So William Bunch was the geographer who gave this statement, and he was basically aimed at regional studies. So his aim was all the systematic geography has theoretical aspect, but regional geography talks about generic issues and not unique studies. So he basically emphasized on the generic issues of regional geography. Now next question is based on quantitative revolution, again a part of history of geographical thought. So in the development of quantitative revolution, a new field of study known as social physics came in. So now here the important aspect is social physics, and social physics stated the dimensions of the society are analogous to the physical dimensions that include number of people, distance, and time. This theory was given by Stewart. We call him J.Q. Stewart, and he was from Princeton University who gave this concept. And he said that social physics, you have the various dimensions of society which are analogous to the physical dimensions. And what he tried to do is he distinguished social geography and sociology by saying that social geography, you are trying to do an objective study, while in sociology what you try to do is a subjective study, and that subjective study is totally avoided in the dimension of social physics. The next question is again on assertion reason, again from quantitative revolution. So quantitative revolution in history became an important topic this time. The major thrust of quantitative revolution is to bring law-making, model building, and theorization. That is very correct, because that is what is meant by quantitative, means numbers. So it talks about building models and talking about more in terms of quantity. And this happened mainly after Second World War, because till then the people are more concerned with the human aspect of development. Now, this question is a match the following question, but in this question what is important is most of the things if you try to search you won't be able to find it directly, but you will have to apply some logic to solve these questions. Now, who gave the theoretical geography? As we discussed before, theoretical geography was given by William Bunch. The same question which talked about systematic geography and regional geography we recently discussed. Then you have the next methods of regional analysis was given by Izzard. So it was Izzard's theory on regional analysis. Then you have geographical dissemination of innovations. So Hagedstern in his theory talked about innovations. So Hagedstern's main focus was innovations, and finally White gave the concept of human response to flood. So this is the correct match the following. The next question is again on match the following. So let's see what's the next question. In this question, you have a famous person and his work. So you have to relate which work is related to which person. So as we all know, Das Ausland is one of the very famous journals of geography, which has been edited by Peshten. So Das Ausland goes with Peshten. Then you have Otto Schlitzler, he gave the concept of visible landscape. So Schlitzler goes with landscape. Then you have Redzel, who gave the concept of political geography. And finally, Richthofen, who did a lot of his study on various aspects, and one of his major areas was his work on China. Now, Richthofen is known for his specific work in China. Now, which of the following is not true about human geography? This is a question you can solve even from your basic knowledge or behavior knowledge. What does humanism talk about? Humanism talk about human beings in general and interaction of human beings to environment. So humanism does not treat humans as machines is a correct sentence. Okay. Humanistic geography gives importance to human awareness, human consciousness and creativity is again correct. It developed as a criticism to positivist and quantitative revolution is again correct statement. So these three are correct and this is not a correct statement. The reason being, humanistic geography does not talk about or does not accept the concept of geometric concept of surface or space. So it does not talk about the specific areas in which you can bound a person or a region. The next question is, again matching the list, you should know based on your rote memory. So various approaches and the advocates of those approaches. Some of the common are phenomenology is an approach given by Ralph, and later on it was given by Yifu Tuan. So that is the phenomenological approach. Then you have the idealistic approach. The propounders of idealistic approach were Harris and Kirkley. The next in the line is the radical approach. The radical approach was given by Bunch. So Bunch gave the radical approach. And finally, you have the welfare approach given by Smith. These are the major approaches in geography. We would be discussing all of these approaches in further sessions we would be talking about. Finally, the last topic here is, who among the following was a strong supporter of Rieter's teleological view? The correct answer is Geert. And Geert was a student of Rieter who did his thesis under Rieter, and he was one of the faithful students, and later on he only propounded the teleological concept of Rieter. So these were the next 15 questions that we discussed today. We would be talking about the next questions in the remaining 3 sessions we would be taking. So stay tuned for the next lecture, and this session mostly the questions were direct based on your knowledge. Some of them were conceptual, but the first set of questions we discussed yesterday were definitely more confining and more conceptual rather than this topic. So stay tuned for the coming sessions. Have a good day ahead.